welcome to my bedroom. It's Adrienne here from Crafty Little Gnome, and as you can see in the background here, I have put a thin brick wall in my bedroom, and I have added some amethyst crystals. So I did it in that spot and that spot. And so I'm trying to make it look so that it's almost like growing out of this old brick wall. So let's take a look and I will show you exactly how I installed this brick wall in my room and how I installed these real amethyst crystals. So as you can see, I have put some bricks vertically on either side of the window, and I'm starting to lay them from the top to the bottom. These vertical bricks, I just wanted to do that because I thought it looked interesting and neat. It's just sort of a different way to do the window. And it just makes it look longer and larger and just adds a bit more architectural interest, I guess you could say. I'm just gonna go ahead and continue up the wall, adding these bricks in. So as you can see, they look a little crooked and uneven, but that's okay. That's sort of the way I want it to look. I don't want it to be perfect. I'm going for like a really sort of like old, vintage kind of vibe here. I am using this adhesive, type 1 tile adhesive, and I'm just back buttering it on the bricks. So this is a brick here, and I am slathering on the adhesive onto the back of the brick. Then all you have to do is just press it firmly into the wall and then it will stay. So I'm not measuring and I'm not using spacers. I'm just trying to kind of keep everything about a finger width apart all over the wall, and I'm staggering it like subway tile. I'm doing all of the full-size brick first, and then after I'm going to go in and measure and cut the smaller ones that I need to put into place, and I'll do those all at the end. So you don't have to put those in all at the end. You can do it as you go if you want. I just am not a really big fan of using the tile saw. I might try to just chisel a couple of them in half instead of using the saw on some of those, but we'll just see how that goes. So right now I'm going to continue working up the wall. So I just want to show you real quick how to do back buttering on the brick tile. So you have your tile here, and then your putty knife with a little bit of the adhesive on it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and spread it on. So I'm putting the adhesive on the back of the tile. You can put some on the wall too if you want. I don't really do that because I find I don't really need to, and it's just sort of wasteful. But then I'm going to take this and then I'll just press it right into the wall where I want it. And then as you can see, I just kind of figure out generally where I want it on the wall, and then I just press firmly in as hard as I can, and it will stay put. Sometimes they just kind of pop off, but that's like just a couple of them, but they pretty much, once they're in place, you still have, you know, some wiggle room to move it around if you need to. But generally they won't move unless you move it. And once they dry in place, it will stay exactly where it's going. And then once you add the grout in, that will really secure everything and make it almost like one solid piece of stone. Another thing you'll notice here, I drew on the wall in a little pink highlighter where I plan to add the amethyst rocks. So as I'm working up, I just wanted to have the general idea where I plan to put them so I don't accidentally put bricks in those places. I'm going to leave those spots blank. I can fit the amethyst in those areas. I just want to make sure that I don't sort of get going on a roll and just accidentally go over the whole thing. Okay, so as you can see, this is the gap that I left where I'm going to put the crystals. So I'm just going to sort of place them without putting in the adhesive and just kind of see almost like a puzzle what fits best. And then when I have the general idea, I will go ahead and use the same tile adhesive on the back to just glue them right into place. This is the collection of crystals I have here. They're all amethyst. I ordered them from crystalrivergems.com, and this is 2 flats of them. This is a medium flat, this is a large flat, and it's about $80 total worth of amethyst. So I'm going to apply the adhesive to the back, and then I'm just going to stick them into place. And then when they dry, it'll just hopefully all look like one big cluster of amethyst. So here you can see I am installing the Amethyst. I'm just putting some tile adhesive on the back and just sticking them in exactly the same way as I did with the bricks. So right now there's a lot of gaps and you can see the white in between them, but we'll go over that in a second, how to fix that and how to make it look like one big chunk. So I've started working on the other area, and as you can see I have the tile adhesive laid on pretty thick, and I'm just gonna find a spot that I want to put it on, and then I'm just gonna smush it in really hard and press it hard into the wall, and then it'll stay put. All right, so now I am mixing up the grout. I'm using sanded grout. The color says it's ivory, but it looks more gray, but it usually lightens up as it dries on the wall. So I'm just doing small batches at a time, and you want to work fairly quickly with it. Once it dries, you cannot add more water. So you want to just do small areas at a time and small batches at a time, and I'll show you how I attach it, or how I use it with the bricks on the wall. Here is my super fancy grout applier. So this is actually a piping thing for baking, for doing the icing, and I stuck it in a Ziploc bag. I cut the corner off. They make special things like this just for like masonry work and grout and brick, but I'm cheap and I already had this stuff at home, so ideally you'll use a tip that you are not going to use for food again. And just grab a Ziploc bag from the pantry, you fill it up with the grout, and then we're gonna apply it and squeeze it into the little cracks here. So what I've done is sort of let the grout dry for some time, maybe about 20 minutes, and then I've just gone in with like the handle on this little thing and just sort of scraped it down. So pushing down into the grout line. You want to make sure it's fairly dry. If you can see, like this part, this is too wet, so you don't want to do that yet. You want to wait till it's pretty firm, and then go in and scrape it down a little bit with just sort of some kind of edge that will fit in the grout lines. Now that the grout has dried, I'm actually just going in with a paintbrush and some purple paint and going into all the little cracks and trying to paint over the white spots. So I'm using acrylic paint, and I'm just gonna go and get all the white spots that I can, and that will get rid of those, white areas. And then we're gonna go over and add some more crystals over top. I'm going back in with some lighter purple and just trying to add some sort of dimension in there, just so it's not solid. You don't have to go too crazy because we are going to go over these areas with some other crystals. I just didn't want the white poking through or to really have to worry about that. But for this part, I'm using a fan brush, just a really skinny one. And then I have a really fine tip brush as well that I'm using just to get into all the little cracks. Now that all the purple paint has dried, I'm just taking these little pieces here, and I covered the ends with E6000 glue, and I'm just sort of trying to insert them into little cracks, and so just to fill in those extra spaces. Some of these pieces I'm actually using little needle nose pliers to just get them into the right spot without getting glue all over my hands. All right, so we have the final results here. This is how it all looks when all the glue is dried and all the paint is dried. It actually looks really, really sparkly in person. It's not showing up quite as much on camera. And you can see the other area here too. So they're the real gemstones, and they're poking out of the brick wall here. So let me know what you think. Do you like it? Do you think it looks terrible? Let me know in the comments. And make sure you subscribe to my channel for all of my DIY videos.